What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Nemo Propaganda here, and today we're going to do a bit of a different video. What I've got in front of me is a list of products that were so good that I wish I bought them. I regret sending back the review sample. I wish I would have just emailed the manufacturer and said, send me an invoice. I want this for myself, because that's how much I enjoyed the product. But as with all things, I cannot buy everything I love. I would absolutely run out of space. So without further ado, let's jump into this list. We've got a couple of speakers. We've got some subwoofers and some amplifiers. So first product on the list is going to be the Zoo DWX bookshelf speaker. Now, if you saw my review, that may come as no surprise. I absolutely love the sound of the Zoo DWX. $1,400 in its standard black finish, no bells and whistles, and it easily competes with speakers up to $2,500. You heard me. I'm not exaggerating. That's not hyperbole. Listen, the Zoo DWX with a good amplifier, something like the Choco Ime, easily endgame for a lot of people. So much separation, so much air and space between the notes, massive soundstage, so effortless, a low volume champion, and it can be cranked at sky high volumes if you need to do that. Absolutely phenomenal. Reason I didn't keep it? The size. I can't accommodate it. It's too big. It's not too big for my room. The speaker actually plays great in smaller rooms. It's just, I'm a reviewer. I'm always using different speakers, which means most of the time my speakers are somewhere else, not on the stands. You know, maybe they're in the back of the room or over here off to the side, and I cannot accommodate another set of speakers, especially ones that are on the larger side. Big bummer. If I ever move to a larger home, I swear, guys, I'm going to buy a pair of DWXs for myself. Another speaker I wish I kept, and I remember this one so vividly, the Fritz Carbon 7. I liked that speaker so much. The mid-range, it's actually a lot like the Zoo in that it just really punches above its weight with a ton of air, separation, spaciousness. It is a little more expensive. It's $2,800 for the pair. But the sound quality you get is amazing. It's absolutely an audiophile's dream speaker, at least if you're the type of audiophile I am, and just really phenomenal overall. The reason I didn't keep that speaker was actually the same reason. Now, it's nowhere near as large as the Zoo DWX, but it's still on the larger side for a bookshelf speaker. Matter of fact, Fritz came down to pick him up because he's not local to me, but he was in the area. So he was like, hey, I'll just swing by and pick up the speakers. And I met him, and I actually asked him, I was like, hey, can you make me, if I pay you, would you make me a custom set of Carbon 7s that were smaller? And follow-up question, if you can, would they sound the same? And he looked at me and said, man, no. He's like, unfortunately not, you know. The cabinet size is where it needs to be to get the performance out of those drivers. And if I shrink it down, you're going to lose some of that greatness. And that was a big bummer because what I really wanted was just a slightly smaller version of that Carbon 7. But oh well, is what it is. Can't buy everything I love. Most people can't, you know what I mean? Welcome to the human experience, right, guys? So didn't buy that one. Another product I wish I bought was the RSL 10E subwoofer. This subwoofer was so good for $299. It blew my mind. Absolute benchmark product. There's nothing even close to it at this price point. Reason I wanted to keep it was just for a benchmark product for this channel, but I own so many subwoofers already, I simply couldn't justify it. As inexpensive as it is, I just couldn't justify it. Guys, I got so many subwoofers. I have subwoofers here that I haven't turned on in over a year. It doesn't make sense to add another subwoofer to the collection, but that 10E, listen, if you don't have a lot of money and you want just a lot of bass, and good bass too, like good high quality bass, nothing comes close to the RSL 10E's performance at $299. You can spend $500 and you're not even going to come close for the most part, unless you buy RSL's own Speedwoofer 10S. Okay, another product, it's another RSL, the 12S subwoofer. I wanted to buy that bad boy too. Totally different reason though. The RSL 12S, $800, vented 12, large cabinet. So obviously the reason I didn't buy it was because of the physical size. I can't accommodate it. Now, that's not to say it doesn't sound good in a small room. It sounded beautiful in my room. I'm a reviewer. So that means I'm not always listening to the products I own. Oftentimes I'm listening to other products. So my gear has to be pushed to the side, moved somewhere else. Where am I going to put the 12S? The thing's a monster. What I loved about it was just the large, massive sense of scale. So effortless, great at low volumes, great at loud volumes, sounded phenomenal, impeccable transients for a vented sub. But man, just the sheer sense of scale to this day, sometimes I think about it and I'm like, man, I wish I had a bigger home so I could have got that thing, because what it could do is just crazy. And part of that comes down to the size. Bigger subwoofers, they just have this sense of effortlessness to them. Not always, but if they're good, they have this sense of scale and effortlessness to them that is just like, you just feel it in your whole body, and it's such an awesome experience. Let's move on to a different type of product. This was a DAC. So I own the Aries 2 DAC. That's the DAC I use. That's the DAC I love. But the DAC I regret sending back, the one I wish I bought, was the Pontus 2. And here's why. It's really simple. The Pontus 2 is everything you love about the Aries scaled up. Why didn't I buy it? Two reasons. One, the Aries is for the most part good enough for me. But two, I don't have any space in this rack. I don't. This rack actually keeps me in check. It stops me from buying a lot of products. The largest DAC this rack can accommodate on its lowest shelf is going to be the Aries 2, because I have my Kinky Studio monoblock on the other side of that shelf. So that stopped me from buying the Pontus 2, but the sound was absolutely incredible. Again, everything I loved about the Aries 2 scaled up. Of course, I'm going to wish I bought it. Let's start talking about amplifiers. I got 4 amplifiers I wish I bought, if you could believe that. First one, the Choco Ime. Reason I wanted to buy that is because it's real small, so it doesn't take up a lot of space. I could easily accommodate it, right? If I put it on the top of my rack, it only takes up half of it. That's how small it is. Benchmark sound quality for the money, $1,700. The level of refinement you're getting for the money is impeccable. The separation, just beautiful. Very warm sound, rolled off treble, holographic in the mid-range. And the reason I wanted it is because it's a great amplifier to use with brighter or more energetic speakers that has outstanding synergy with speakers like that. Like that Choco Ime with the Triangle Comet 40th. I didn't have them at the same time, but if I did, I can imagine that probably would have been a fantastic pairing. Matter of fact, my Platimon speakers that I own, the Choco Ime is my preferred amplifier pairing for the Platimon. So I would have enjoyed it personally. I would have been able to use it to review other equipment, but I just didn't buy it. I couldn't tell you why, honestly. I remember even I was talking to Sean from Zero Fidelity about that, and he was like, just buy it, just email him, tell him to send you an invoice. And I was like, no, I shouldn't. You know, I was just feeling very financially responsible, and I felt it would have been irresponsible to just buy another amp when I have a few amps already. So I didn't, but wish I did, guys. I really wish I did. But again, I can't buy everything I like. No one can. So next one on the list is going to be the Pathos Inpol Remix Mark II, that Class A tube hybrid integrated amp I reviewed just recently. $5,500. It's not cheap. It is made in Italy. The treble refinement out of this world, holographics, fantastic, spaciousness, impeccable. Natural sounding, though. It was natural sounding. It was emotionally engaging, and it didn't take up much space. It was another small amp. So in my brain, I was like, I could totally accommodate the physical size. Like, I should totally buy it. But then it's like $5,500. That's a lot of money to just buy because I like this thing, and I already have other amps. So I felt like that would have been just very financially reckless for me to do. So I didn't buy it. But if I was building the system today and I had a budget up to about $5,000 for an amplifier, I'd strongly consider one of the Pathos amps, either the Classic 1 Mark III or the Inpol Remix Mark II. Both of those just blew me away. I loved them so much. Next amp on the list is actually going to be the Galleon TS120 SE, the amp Thompson Stereo made. That's another amp where I remember being on the phone with Sean from Zero Fidelity, and I didn't even tell him I wanted to buy it. He knew I wanted to buy it. He's like, just email Thomas and tell him you want to buy it. I can tell you love it. I love that amp. I really do. I said it was a product of the year in one of my videos. Reason I didn't buy that amp, real simple. That was, again, my rack keeping me in check. This is a glass rack. It's almost at maximum weight capacity already. The Galleon TS120 Special Edition is 65 pounds, so I can't even put it on top, you know? And if you see in the review, I talked about that. I had it sitting on a subwoofer off to the side. So why do I like that amp? Well, it's a full tube amp, so it does all the tubey goodness in the mid-range, but you get a lot of clarity in that treble region, incredibly strong bass, and it's just a great sounding amp. It's very organic and natural, but also has good detail, good bass, and it has subwoofer outputs, and that's actually hard to find on a tube integrated amp, so I loved seeing that. But yeah, man, I remember putting that one in the box, and I was like pretty bummed the whole time. I was just like, I should buy this. I wish I had more space. I wish I had a bigger room. I wish I had a bigger rack. You know what I mean? That's what she said. The last product on this list is the Bucart i150 integrated amp. And you might be wondering, is it because of the room correction? Is it because of the cell phone app? Was it because of the sound quality? Was it because of how much power it had? No. It's one reason I wanted to keep that amp, and I regret sending it back. I love how beautiful it looks. I had it in my living room for a period of time when I was breaking it in, sitting inside my media console, and it just fit my room so beautifully. It looked so good in that media cabinet. But that's a stupid reason to spend $2,000. You know, $2,000 is still a lot of money at the end of the day. I had to reel it in, be a little bit responsible. Doesn't make sense to do that. At the time, I think up there I had an Emotiva TA100. And in my living room upstairs, all I do is watch Netflix, Hulu, play video games, or watch Crunchyroll. I don't need a high-end amplifier with a ton of features. I definitely don't need to spend $2,000 just because I like the way it looks. That would be ridiculous. So just common sense and financial responsibility is what stopped me from that one. But to this day, when I see pictures of the Bucart i150, I think, man, that is a beautiful amplifier. Anyways, that brings this list to a close, guys. And like I said in the beginning, it's simple. I can't buy everything I love. If I did, I'd run out of space and I'd run out of money, and neither one of those is a good thing. Guys, I know reviewers that have speaker boxes, amplifiers, DACs in their kitchen because they're running out of space. At one point, my home was so hectic, I had speakers all the way up my stairs. Every single stair had a pair of bookshelf speakers on them. That was insane. Because, you know, when my channel was smaller, some of you guys might not know, I had to buy speakers if I wanted to review them. My channel was too small. Nobody would really send me review samples. A few companies showed me love early on, like Emotiva. Rel actually showed me some love early on, SVS, Iota VX, a few others that I'm probably forgetting. But yeah, man, I can't live like that. I don't want to run out of money, and I don't want a house that is dominated by products and their associated packaging, because that's another thing you got to think about. You guys have all bought amps, subwoofers, and speakers. They come in boxes, and they got foam and manuals and accessories. Can't keep all of that. I just can't. So that's the list. That's the stuff I wish I bought, guys. Is there anything you regret not buying? If so, drop a comment, share it with us. This YouTube channel also has a free Discord. Until next time, take care.